Well, thank you all for being here. Yesterday I met with the governor and the chief of staff, and I informed them that I would be stepping down and retiring from service as Attorney General of the state of Utah. That's the decision that my wife and I made last Sunday. This morning I delivered and tendered to the governor's office a letter of resignation indicating that I would be resigning from this office effective Tuesday, December 3rd at 12:01 a.m. That letter has been delivered, it has been accepted, and my resignation has been tendered. This is a somber day. I have vigorously maintained my innocence of all allegations, and I hope that people will view my departure as nothing more than an attempt to remove the focus and the spotlight of the situation from the fishbowl that a statewide office holder lives in. We hope that the decision from the Department of Justice Public Integrity Division section to close its case and not bring charges would have an impact on the House's decision to investigate. And I simply misjudged the politics of the House decision. I have broken no laws and have vowed to fight for my honor and good name with my very last dollar. And we have done as a family basically that. The strain on my office has been far beyond what I ever anticipated, and the cost to the state taxpayers has been enormous. Now is the time for the madness to stop and for the state to move forward. The toll on my family, the toll on my office, and the toll on our finances has been too much. It is time for it to stop. I want to thank those who have supported me through this ordeal, who have, through financial support, through contributions, through faith and prayers, have given us the strength and the courage and the resources to endure this tremendous trial. I thank them all, everyone, from the bottom of my heart. I will always appreciate them, as we have been up against an unlimited budget in the House investigation. In the spirit of frankness, I want to share a few points with you. First, my wife and I, and many others, are absolutely shocked by the perfect storm created by the false allegations made by those with a clear political or personal agenda. The tough reality is that 50 front-page stories, no matter how baseless, can take anyone apart. Second, when these investigations started, I pledged to cooperate fully, and I have kept my word. I'm proud of the integrity of this office and the people who serve the state from my office. We requested and were denied any resources from the legislature to defend the office or to defend me personally, to respond to the millions of dollars that were appropriated for this investigation by the House. Despite that, my office and I have agreed to stay out of court whenever possible, to cooperate in every way, and not challenge the constitutionality of what many have viewed as an unconstitutional assault by the legislative branch on the executive branch of government. I would like to thank my personal attorneys, Rod Snow, Jennifer James, and the other fine professionals at Clyde Snow for their hard work and effort in helping me respond personally to many allegations into the inquiries of the investigation. I believe in a year, they have spent just about 20% of what the House investigation team has spent since September. Pure and simple, I believe that the House investigation was calculated to drive me from office. They had all the resources of the state at their disposal. and they knew I only had the resources of my personal family budget. I want you to know that this decision has not been an easy decision for me or for my family, because throughout this 10-month ordeal, we have only wanted to serve the state, and we have believed that if we could just hang on, the truth would come out, and I would be exonerated. Again, as I said before, what we didn't calculate upon was the great burden that would be brought out by a $3 million budget against us. And we have no choice but to step aside. As I leave, it's important to me that Utahns know that despite the problems I've had to face, I have been very proactive in my service as the Attorney General, and I'm proud of every day I've been able to serve. It has been one of the greatest blessings of my life, even though it has been tougher than I could possibly imagine to stand strong in the face of the fire. I believe our state is safer than when I took office. I believe that we have better access to our lands and our resources than when I took office. We have great plans moving forward to make our schools safer with a new program that we are working on that is about ready to be introduced. And I won't steal the thunder from the next Attorney General if he decides to move that forward. But my goal in the beginning was to make it so that our kids were as safe as possible from threats of violence in school. I believe there are things that we can do, there are things we are doing, and I look forward to the time when that is rolled out and that Utah kids are actually safer than they have to be in schools. I would like to thank the attorneys in my office. When I served in the legislature from 1996 to 2002, I had a very different opinion of public employees than I have now. We have the best and brightest, the hardest working, the people with the most integrity that I can possibly describe or imagine working in the Attorney General's office. And during the last couple of months of this House investigation, they've been strained to the limit. Just last week, we had an office-wide continuing legal education program. And I was able to see all of our attorneys in the same room. And I noticed the strain on their faces. This has taken a toll on them. And I want them to know, each one, how proud I am of them and how much I respect them and honor them. And how much I have enjoyed working with them and interviewing them and helping them in any way possible. I have loved every minute of this job, notwithstanding all the publicity. I want to thank my executive team, which is a fantastic team. When the House investigation started, I asked my executive team to take the lead in responding to the discovery so that I could step back and never be accused of interfering in any way with that investigation. So I want to congratulate and thank Brian Tarbutt, my general counsel. Brian Tarbutt was a general with the National Guard for 12 years. He was a division chief in the Attorney General's office before he became a general. He came back not expecting to be in the storm. He's done an admirable job through tremendous adversity, and I thank him. Kirk Jorgensen, who's been a longtime chief deputy, has been nationally honored for his public service as an attorney and as a member of our office in the Attorney General's office. I thank him. Paul Murphy, who I think is the best public information officer in the world. Thank you, Paul, for all your help and your support and your confidence during this very difficult time. I want to thank Shelley Exeter, my personal assistant, who every day comes to work with a smile and gets things done. I also want to thank my dear wife, Suzanne. 28 years we've been married. She knows me well. She's always been by my side and always supported me and my family. I love them all. I want you all to know that I have been honored to serve the state. I maintain my innocence of all allegations. And I want you to think for a minute about what that means. If I truly am innocent, as I claim I am, today is truly a sad day in Utah, because an election has been overturned. I'm grateful for you. I'm honored to serve. I'm grateful for our governor. I'm grateful for this great state of Utah. And I look forward to clearing my name in private as a private citizen. Thank you very much. And I'd be happy to take a question.
John, just really a brief question. You say that you're maintaining your innocence.
Yes, sir.
But you're resigning anyway. Would you mind offering a little bit of clarity about why are you resigning? Why did you pick today?
Well, today's not a magic day. It could have happened tomorrow just as well. It could have happened yesterday, we weren't ready. Suzanne and I, this last weekend, went through a process of evaluation of where we were with our finances, looking at the tremendous toll on our family and on the office, and asking ourselves this one question. If we were to wait 2 or 3 months, would things improve or would they get worse? Facing another $1.5 million or $2 million in budget from the House, we concluded that 2 months from now, all we would do is further drain our resources, further cause headlines almost every day in the paper, and make things even worse than they are. If we could have seen, Richard, an endpoint to the investigation and a way to survive financially, I would have stayed to my very last dollar. But we just could not see a way to get through that investigation and still have any hope of any resources going forward. I guess at the end of the day, I had to choose my family and my office over myself personally.
How significant would you say the personal and financial toll has been on you and your family?
Well, all of our lives, we as adults work to put money away for retirement and to do important things for our families. And so, how important has it been? I mean, when you talk about spending the attorney's fees that you have to spend, I mean, you think about the House investigation, and in 3 months they spent $1.5 million. We've had to respond to that investigation. And it wasn't a narrow investigation like they promised. It became very broad and very overreaching in my view. We had to respond to that investigation. So it did play cause a tremendous burden and a toll on my personal finances and on my family, because I don't think most people realize this, but there's not a budget for the Attorney General to defend against a political investigation, which is a very interesting thing. Governor Sarah Palin spent $500,000 of her own resources fighting ethics charges, which she eventually overcame. $500,000 to fight those ethics issues that she faced in Alaska.
Well, are you hoping that
We just don't have that kind of resource.
Are you hoping that these investigations go away now that you're resigning? You're hoping that the House committee dissolves? Are you hoping the Lieutenant Governor's investigation ceases? Are you hoping that the district attorney investigations go away?
Well, the one thing we are certain of is, as I step out of office, I will step out of the limelight. So that will certainly help the toll on my family. We are also hopeful that the investigations that move forward will move forward to the extent that they're interested in things that I've done, but not issues that are related to my service as the Attorney General. So that should have an impact on some of those elections, or excuse me, on those investigations.
Why do you think that
Governor's report, the imminent release of the Lieutenant Governor's report, play into the timing of this in any way, and the potential for having to go to court and then defend your election in court? That's
Yeah, sure. So I haven't seen a report from the Lieutenant Governor's office. And so we haven't reviewed that report. We haven't seen that report. We hear it may be coming any day. We made this decision last weekend, Robert, and the timing of this announcement has only to do with my personal resources, with the impact of my office, and as we look at the future, deciding when is the time to say uncle.
why do you say the House wants to oust you from office? Why would they want to do that?
House.
Well, without getting into too many details, it looks pretty obvious when their attorney holds a report and says things about our office that's not true and about me that aren't true. Things like that we're not cooperating in the investigation when all we've done is turn over more than 10,000 pages of documents to them on time. So when I see an attorney standing up and giving a report to the legislative committee, and then have that committee say, why is the Attorney General's office not cooperating with us when we are fully cooperating? It makes me feel that there's an agenda there, that there's an agenda to try me in the press. So part of my decision today is to get me out of the limelight and let these investigations move forward against me as a regular citizen instead of in the fishbowl of being a statewide elected officer.
But
John, you
what would the motive be for trying to get you out of office? You're claiming that the State House of Representatives wants you out of office.
Don't twist my words. I am saying that I believe the investigation was calculated to make it very difficult for me to stay in office. And that's all I want to say about it. And
John,
I think that people can look at the investigation, they can look at the money spent, they can look at the fact that I wasn't given any resources to defend myself, and ask themselves, who in the state, absent a multimillionaire, could ever stand up to the resources of the state of Utah? Now, I'm not upset or angry. I'm just trying to state a fact. And listen, I don't want this press conference to get out of control. I don't want this to become a debate. I want you to know sincerely that I'm heartbroken. That all I wanted to do was serve the state. That I believe that the things I've done as a chief deputy and as an attorney general have been totally above board. I believe that I have fully kept my oath of office that I made as the attorney general. I'm proud of my service, and I'm deeply disappointed that what I believe is the agenda of political enemies and people with a personal agenda to hurt me or to help themselves at my expense has led to the resignation of the Attorney General duly elected by the people in the fall of 2012. And I do not want to have this president get out of control. I do want to answer your questions. I do respect you and the people and your time, but I just want to leave it at that. Yes?
Was there a plea deal or a bargain reached with the Lieutenant Governor's office pending this report coming out possibly today? Are you resigning as a part of the deal?
No.
John, you talk about getting out of the limelight and the financial burden this has placed on your family. So what's next for you after you resign from office?
That's a great question. I have no idea. I have not. This decision by our family was made last weekend. Prior to last weekend, it was my intention to serve my full term in office and not have to worry about my next job for 3 more years. So I don't know.
You said that you spent about less than 20% of what the committee spent. The committee spent $1.5 million. Math would indicate you may have spent in the neighborhood of $300,000 or compiled in the neighborhood of $300,000 in legal bills. Is that a fair inference?
That's about right.
Do you acknowledge that you've done anything that might be questionable or that brought this on, or is this just a purely vendetta-driven?
Robert, I think there are many things that we do in our lives that, put in the worst possible light, can raise a question or two. I believe the things I've done have been cast in the worst possible light. And I maintain that I've been 100% ethical and honest in all my dealings. And that this is the result of people with an agenda who have cast things in a false light and a frenzy by those who distribute information to for whatever good reason or bad reason, to make that very apparent to everybody. And it's been difficult as the Attorney General, as a brand new Attorney General, who no one knows, to 5 days after taking the oath of office, to have those salacious allegations published, made and then published, and then to try to deny something that never happened and have any credibility at all. What did I do the first day? I called for an investigation. They took 10 months in that investigation. I have now seen documentary proof that what Jeremy Johnson said wasn't true from the very beginning, and he knew it. Yet that led to a frenzy that led other politically driven people to then jump on board. It's like when I grew up on the farm, we had chickens. I don't know if any of you have been on a farm before and seen little chickies. You get a little chick with a little speck on his head, and what do all the little other chicks do? They peck it to death. And it's because the little chick was born with a little speck. Well, the first week in office, I had this little speck, and people kept pecking him. And we were fine all the way through the Department of Justice decision. Now, why do you think the Department of Justice would not press forward with charges? I mean, that's what they do. We thought that would end things, but it didn't. And that's okay. I'm not here to complain. I'm here to thank the people of Utah for the opportunity to serve. I've loved every minute of it, and I want you to know that, and I'll be interested and hopefully active in some way the rest of my life because I believe in Utah. I believe in our country and our Constitution.
Well, given what you're saying happened to you,
Yes.
what does that say about our political system in the state of Utah? Is it corrupt?
Well, I'm not saying that at all. I am saying it worries me, Richard. One of the reasons I stayed in so long was because I worried what would happen to future prospects for political office if I were to leave and these allegations were not true. What would happen to the next person who wants to run for Attorney General who says, my goodness, the price of an election is more than I could possibly bear. If I make a tough decision and someone doesn't like it, what am I vulnerable to? That's what makes me very nervous about the future. And I don't believe this is the last time this will happen.
Would you elaborate on what evidence you say that you've seen that shows that the allegations
Sure.
of Jeremy made?
Yeah, and